G'day, wrestling mates. Welcome to episode 60 of If You See Kayfabe. I'm your wrestling mate from down under. I'm Southern Joe. And despite his fresh-looking face, the gentleman in the split screen has been a professional wrestler for 13 years. But it's only since a recent rebirth in his career that he's started to become well-established here in Melbourne. Now, to discuss this and also why he might feel like when I spoke to Kevin Kelly previously, I talked to him about how wrestling can be like Noah's Ark, because there was two Kevin Kellys, two Steve Williams, two Steve Regals, and so forth. But our guest here might feel like Jerry Seinfeld in one particular episode, and I'll discuss that with him. It's a disappointing deviant, Josh Redfield.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm great to be here. I don't usually do these, so this is interesting. this is interesting.
That's good. Interesting is good.
Very much.
I always look to humanize, not sensationalize. So you must feel like Jerry Seinfeld from last weekend. Have you ever seen the Even Stevens episode?
No, I can't say I have. So you're going to have to explain this one to me so I fully understand.
Okay, well, in the space of a weekend, you dropped the Adrenaline Pro Wrestling title, but you gained the tag team title at Alpha Pro.
Yeah,
all the same weekend.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I don't think I've ever had that happen to me in the course of 24 hours where I've lost a championship and then regained a championship. So that is something I can officially tick off my bucket list, even though it wasn't on my bucket list to begin with. So yeah, it was interesting. It was a very interesting weekend last weekend. So I can't. Yeah.
So have you been the Alpha Pro tag team champion previously?
No. When it comes to Alpha, I'm a former Pipeworks champion, but apart from that, no, this is my first time being a tag team champion with them. So this is so it's the first time for me. So it should be a fun little run.
And that was with your best mate, Inmate 211.
Yes, Inmate 211.
211. Oh, yeah. I knew I'd get it right. I knew I'd get it wrong. Because I even asked him after the show on Saturday at Sunbury, the Sunbury SmackDown.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, everyone gets it wrong. Guess who else got it wrong? Me."
It's a common occurrence because he goes by simply 211 these days. But everyone still calls him Inmate 211, and he sits there and we'll have moments in the ring, and he'll be called Inmate 211, and I'll have half the time you'll see me go up and talk to him. 9 times out of 10, it's me going, "They got your name wrong again." He's like, "Oh, that's fine."
Now, also too, we'll talk about your resurgence soon, but your nickname, the Disappointing Deviant, is that a paradox of your clean cut image?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more of a it's more of a I'm a deviant. Everyone knows that I get myself in a little bit of a trouble outside of wrestling. I do have a bit of a cheeky side. So that's where deviants come from. I think disappointing comes from the fact of the first half of my career was disappointing for myself. I was very, very disappointed in some of the ways and directions I went with my career. In my I guess I call it my first run as a pro wrestler. So it basically comes from that. It just puts two of my I guess little alter egos or versions of myself into one. Because the whole thing was to be I constantly disappoint people. And we were gonna run with the story where I was continuously losing. And chasing after championships, but losing all the time. But then the crowd really enjoyed what I was doing, and they ended up going, "Hey, we're going to take you in a different direction." And the name just kind of stuck, and we haven't changed it because a lot of people go, "Why do you call yourself the Disappointing Deviant? Because you're not really disappointing, are you?" And I'm like, "They're just stuck, and now I'm here." So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's more a name that I would put onto someone like Dominic Mysterio or even MJF.
Yeah,
because but that's where I think it's a paradox.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I can't disagree with that. It has its it has its. I guess it also has its different meanings, and it depends on how you look at it as well. Is like you can tell that in certain aspects when I wrestle, I'd like to portray that especially when I lose, that like I show that disappointment in myself, and like I am constantly character wise in this battle. Even though I've been champion, I win titles, I do this. There's always something like I can't believe in myself fully, and ultimately that's what basically undoes a lot of my winning streaks.
Okay. Is that something that might hinder you as far as because you got more self belief now, haven't you?
Oh, 100%. Yes and no. It's hard because I back when I first started, and like probably the first like 8 9 years of my career, I was very much just kind of there. I just kind of would say very self-conscious in what I was doing, and I think it hindered me a lot in my career. Where now I have a lot more confidence. I'm not as disappointed in myself, but I always sit there, especially when I look back at things, especially like when you watch your match back and stuff like that. I sit there and I'm like, could have done this better, or I could have interacted here. So I'm like very crucial, and like I definitely still doubt myself, but not as bad as I used to. Like I know what I can do, and I have the confidence to do it, but I will always have that nag in the back of my brain going, oh, but can you really do it? And yeah. So like, I guess that's the best way to explain it. I'm not the greatest at explaining things, but that's probably the best way I could explain
No,
it.
no, it's perfect explanation. But I mean, there's nothing to me. There's nothing wrong with wanting to better yourself by watching your matches over and saying, "Well, I could have hit this better. I could have got this a bit more snug. I could have, done something here to get the crowd going and so forth." And I hear that from a lot of the guys I speak to at Alpha Pro. And I hear it also on podcasts when other people talk about what they could have done better. So with your stage name, Redfield, Josh Redfield. I
Yeah.
mean, your first name, shoot name is Josh,
Yeah.
but where's the Redfield come from?
Resident Evil. So I adore Resident Evil. I grew up like with the old school games on the PlayStation 1. My dad introduced me to it. So for ages, when I started watching wrestling, I was like, I'm gonna be Josh Redfield, because I couldn't use my actual name. Because I could, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't have the same ring to it as Josh Redfield. Um, so yeah, it was basically based off that. I originally wanted to use the last name Valentine based off my favorite character, which was Jill Valentine. I adore Jill Valentine in the series, but it just Josh Valentine didn't have the same ring to it. So I was like,
Yeah.
what's another name from that franchise that I could use? And Redfield worked, and I've used basically Redfield. I was originally CJ Redfield for like 4 years of my career, and then I was like, no,
Okay.
I've got to get rid of CJ. I hate the name. I despised it. I was like, no, I want to use Josh. And then yeah, I used Josh Redfield, and it's been the same ever since.
Well, there's another CJ up in Queensland. I interviewed him when I did this other show. He was also known as Hench because he wrestled in the UK for a little bit for some indies.
Nice. The
He's
UK.
at Wide Bay Pro Wrestling.
I've heard of Wide Bay. I've watched Wide Bay ever since its inception years ago.
But because I played PS1 as well. But then if I was a wrestler, I'd end up being what was that game called? Oh, Speedball Brutal Deluxe.
Oh yes, I have heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a grass little game. So this is where it's interesting that in your social media post, you talked about falling out of love with wrestling in 2019.
Yeah.
Now we talked a little bit about that on Saturday, but I'd like to hear that story for the audio radiance.
Okay, so I started wrestling in 2012, and I think we all come into this business expecting a whole bunch of cool things to happen. Uh, my direction didn't really go that way. I felt like after a couple of years, I felt like I should have been getting more at that point in my career, but I was like just doing the thing, just wrestling. I had a whole bunch of cool things happening outside of wrestling, so I wasn't like too like worried about it. I think eventually got to a point where I was watching all these people come through, like all these new newbies coming through that had been wrestling for a couple of months, getting all these opportunities that I was still trying to get to. I do think a lot of it come from friendships and cliques, in the sense of like, oh, you're friends with the right people, so you're going to get, pushed more. You're going to get more of these opportunities. But I do think a lot of it came down to my attitude by the end of the day as well. I think I got to the point where I was like, "Oh, I don't really want to socialize with these people." So I became kind of made myself my own outcast and then blamed the industry for it. Um, I remember getting to like the later half of my year, I had mingled with the wrong people in a different state. I had was made to believe that my worth was a lot more than what it actually was at that point. And it wasn't until I took a big step back from wrestling, which at that point I just hated. I was wrestling. I started 2019. I wrestled a match against Jackson Shepherd in his debut match, and I was atrocious. Like I um, didn't care. Like I walked back from that match knowing I had a bad match, and I just didn't care. I was like, whatever, it is what it is, type of situation. Which I have that mentality now. It is what it is, but not in the fact of like, oh, cool, whatever. Like it was a match. It is what it is. Is like, okay, it happened. How do we fix it now? Um, and yeah, so I wrestled a couple of matches, and I just didn't care. Didn't care. I started pulling out of shows because I just didn't want to wrestle anymore. It's just like I could go, but like I pulled out of a show that was in like my hometown, and I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. So I stopped doing it. I had fallen out of love with wrestling. I thought I should have, by that point, I should have had all these championship reigns. I should have had main event matches constantly. But I wasn't really putting in as much work as I should have been to get those opportunities. So it wasn't until I took a step back from wrestling and I went, oh, I was a bit of the problem here, not everything else. I was probably the bigger problem to myself than it was bookers or this, that, and the other. Like, don't get me wrong, there were little tidbits that were like that played a major part, because there were. I still believe to this day there were some opportunities that I should have had that weren't, because people just didn't like me, and which is fair. You're not going to get along with everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just hated it. I didn't want anything to do with it. I stopped watching wrestling. I stayed away from wrestling shows. I kept up to date through social media posts because I made a good couple of friends in wrestling. So I kept up to date with them. Like I watched Jason Crusher Cole smash it through all of NAW. He was my J2 tag team partner for a good chunk of my last couple of years. But I watched a couple of other people that I would consider friends as well, just through social media posts. And I just I never planned on coming back. I didn't want to come back. I was pretty much done in 2019. I was like, I'm done. I'm dust. I'm going to go do other things. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I just at that point just fell out of love with it. I thought I deserved more, and realistically, I didn't. But at that point in time, I was like, nah, screw this, screw the business. And I think every wrestler goes through that at some point or another. So yeah.
And then I'm interested in the story of how you ended up coming back to it.
So I left wrestling in would have been probably February, March of 2019. And I was like, I was done, but I kept talking to a couple of people in the wrestling business. Jason Cole being one of them. And we talk all the time, and he'd be like, come back to wrestling, come back to wrestling. And I was always like, no, not happening. I'm good. I feel so much better that I don't have the pressure of wrestling anymore. But eventually I was in the mindset of like, I'd gained a bit of weight, and I was like, I kind of need to start, being active and moving. And during a conversation, we had the conversation. I said, oh, you know what? Look, I'll come back to training. I'll come back and train, but it's only just, I don't want to wrestle a match. I just want to, kind of just help lose the weight, just be a bit physical, and kind of socialize as well. So I got back into it that way. And I remember the first time I rocked up to George the Hitman Julio's. That's where I was training at the time. And I came back for the match. Not for the match, for the fucking training session. And they were doing a booking meeting for NAW at the time. And the booker turned around and said, oh, you're back? And I went, no, not happening. I'm not coming back. I'm just here to just train. So we did a couple of sessions. Myself, Jason and Jackson Shepherd, who was training at the time as well. Hadn't wrestled a match, but was training. Well, he had a match. He had the first match against me, and that's I think the only match he had because it was terrible. So yeah, we did that. We were going through like practice matches and stuff like that. And Jason came up with the idea of like maybe coming back for one more match to help Shep get onto a show. That he was going to pitch it to the bookers and be like, hey, just a one-off match. And I said yes because I'm good friends with Shep and I wanted him to get an opportunity. And that was my thing. It gives him the opportunity to show that he can wrestle. And for anyone who was like, oh, he doesn't put in the work, that he did put in the work, you know? So we trained for this match. The match was set for, because I'd come back, it was probably like July. I had my first training session back. And then they set the match for September, I'm pretty sure. So I had a month and a half to be like fully prepared for the match. And then I came back to a show because I was like, if I'm going to wrestle a show, I should probably come back to a show. I haven't actually seen a wrestling show in months. I don't know how the landscape had changed. And I came back and I brought my gear. Because the number one rule, there's multiple number one rules, but one of those rules is always bring your gear to shows. And so I brought like old gear that I hadn't worn in like 5 years. Because I was like, I didn't have any other, like my other gear was all hidden away. I found this random pair of white gear and I was like, yeah, cool. And I had like old kick pads and stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll just take it. You never know. And I was there and I was just sitting there and the booker comes up to me and he's like, do you have your gear by any chance? I'm like, yeah, I don't leave home without it. And he's like, oh, you're on the show. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm on the show now. And it was part of like this Team Pure versus Team NAW story that they were doing but someone had pulled out of Team Pure. They needed just to fill in, and so I filled in. I did like 3 moves in the match. I didn't do much. But so I've done this match and people have seen it. My name's popped up on socials in like result pages and stuff like that and photos. So I got hit up by another couple of promotions and I'm like, oh crap, here we go. Jason also had put my name forward for a couple of promotions saying, oh, Redfield's back. You should totally book him. And so then conversations got going. I did a show for Premier Pro Wrestling because they were coming to Sunbury. And I was like, I'll do a show for them. So let's do that. So I did a show for them. I came back to Adrenaline.
You can walk there.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I did a show. One of the bookers for Adrenaline Pro Wrestling messaged me and said, I've heard you're back. Do you want to come back? And I was like, I'm only doing a story I'm only doing this match with Shep. Well, that was the original plan. But they were like, the idea was J2 reunion between me and Jason. It would lead to a match against their tag team champions, and we would lose, and I don't have to wrestle again. Just a cool little fun little thing. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I'm already going to be still wrestling around this time anyway. I might as well like just make the most of it anyway. So we come back. I end up doing, I can't remember the timeline, which was which, but I do my match with Shep. I had a lot of fun with the match. Had a lot of fun. It was really cool. Got new gear made for it and everything. And then I came back to Adrenaline and we did this tag team match, which was originally for the tag team titles, but they switched it to if me and Jason won the match, we'd become contenders for the championships, which is good that they did because we accidentally went over in the match.
Oh,
we weren't meant to. We were meant to lose, but a spot went wrong, and 211, because I was wrestling 211 and his tag team partner, Inmate 47, as the inmates. We went for a springboard DDT, and as we've gone down, his shoulders popped out. So we ended up doing the pinfall there. And we won the match, which is good because otherwise we would have become the tag team champions, and I wasn't meant to wrestle another match.
That's a positive swerve.
Yeah, so we had to continue the story, obviously. So I ended up sticking around, and so I was like, I'll finish up the year. I'll just do it like, you know, the little stints that wrestlers do. They come back, do the little stint, then they leave.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. I'll do this little stint. We'll do this whole story, which we did with Adrenaline. We did this whole story over the tag titles. We ended it in December with a match we called the Prison Riot match. And I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun. And I think that was the story that kind of rekindled my love for wrestling again, because I was able to go out there and have fun. I felt like myself instead of like forcing myself to portray like that I'm a happy character or whatnot. I did a couple of other shows here or there. I did a couple more shows for NAW, and the one-off appearances at other shows. And then I was like, all right, well, let's just play it by ear for now. So that's what we did. We played it by ear, but then we got hit with COVID. So we did a couple more shows, and then COVID hit. And I think COVID was where I was like, I just come back, and now it's been taken away from me, and I was like itching to get back in that ring. So I have to thank Jason for rekindling the love, but I also have to thank like everyone that I wrestled in that small amount of time, because I don't think if it was for them having like just fun matches, I wouldn't have come back and stayed back. So yeah, it was yeah, I wouldn't, yeah, I just say it was just enjoying myself, not coming back to wrestling and not actually caring about titles or caring about politics, and just wanting to be there to have fun and tell stories is what rekindled my love for wrestling, pretty much.
So your hiatus was only a short time then?
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It was.
Oh, I thought it was longer.
Nah, it should have been. Honestly, it should have been. The plan was to have a longer hiatus, but it was, I think, 9 months in total.
That's a lot. That's a lot shorter time. Just the way I read your sort of posts, because I suppose everything's been building to the last couple of years for you.
Yeah, it's the last couple of years have been insane.
So, was it you're falling out of love? Was that backstage politics, or a certain promotion, or certain people, or
if I had to sum it up,
you could say no names, no pack drill.
No, I don't mind. I would like I say I mingled with the wrong people a lot. So like, New Age Wrestling was my home promotion, but I hated it. I hated it there. And like, that's nothing against, like, I adore George. I adore George the Hitman Julio, and I adore a lot of the locker room, but I just hated it there. I felt like an outcast all the time, even if like some of it was my own doing, as I said earlier. But like, even in times when I attempted to, I just felt like I was getting nothing. Even when I came back from hiatus, I felt different at NAW than I did anywhere else. So I say that played a big part in me falling out of love with wrestling, especially with some of the people who said some things, and like it would get back to me, along with like very, very double standards and hypocrisy, which I think we're all at fault when it comes to wrestling in one way or another. And then I went up to I wrestled in Queensland for quite a while as well, but that inflated my ego, weirdly enough, and I thought I was the bee's knees. I thought it was great up there. And I had people just boosting that ego without actually bringing me down as well. So I'd come back to Melbourne thinking I'm better than half the people on the roster, which wasn't the case. And yeah, and then when I took myself out of that situation, I realized that I was hating it there as well. Like, I stopped going to Queensland because I was put in situations where I was just like, it was fun at the start, and I was very much like, okay, cool, we're telling stories, we're doing this, we're doing that. Like, my ego was being built up. But then eventually when I stopped, I started saying no to certain things. Certain people in a certain promotion would then kind of make me feel horrible. And I think that, along with some of the stuff that was going on at NAW in Melbourne, just started to create this whole thing where I was just like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I fell in love with. So a lot of the backstage, I definitely put it more to backstage stuff than I would proper wrestling.
Did it affect others as well? Do you have anyone else that's been in the same situation as yourself?
I think in Queensland there has been, yes. I know there was a couple of people that were also in the same boat, so I know I wasn't the same person in that situation. In Melbourne, I think people have been in a similar boat, but just not with the same promotion or the same people. So I know there was a couple of people at NAW that felt the same way. But then there was other people that felt really great at NAW that felt very similar at other promotions. So I wouldn't say it was just very much a me thing. how I viewed it was probably just because obviously I'm the one who viewed it the way I
Yeah.
did. So that's a me thing. But I think people also had similar situations. So I wouldn't just say it was a me thing, but I can't also guarantee that they were exactly, because everyone's situation was different and always will be different.
So you're good mate in 211.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually mates outside of wrestling?
Yeah, very, very much so. Very much so. He's looked after me quite a few times and gotten me. I would say gotten me out of sticky situations, but he's definitely had to pull the grown up voice on me and go, "Do you think that was the right thing to do?" And I have to go, "Okay, I made a mistake here." Like he's a great friend. We bonded very much. Funnily enough, from feeling like we were outcasts. At NAW. So that was our first like proper, like we'd spoken at shows before. Like you talk to a lot of people at wrestling shows, even though like you don't talk them outside, but like and when I was smoking, I was outside having a cigarette, and he comes up to me and he just went, "Do you ever feel like you just an outcast and you don't belong?" And I went, "Yep." And then that's pretty much where the friendship kind of started to blossom, and we started to talk a lot more. And COVID brought us together even closer. We started streaming together on Twitch. Him, myself, and Jackson Shepherd under the name Standardized Paradox. And we've just all pretty much been close from there. So yeah, no, he's been 211. Has been a very very good friend outside the business.
And you met him through wrestling, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And because you make a great yin and yang team. I think I've told you that before, because you got that clean cut. He's got that insane clown type thing. And it just works well. And notice what's the announcer's name? Pat? It was on Saturday night.
Pat. Yeah.
Yeah, he said that he started calling you as NQR, not quite right.
Yeah. So we decided, like, obviously we all fall under the Standardized Paradox banner, but we were like, what's a team name that the two of us, like, that me and Inmate, me and 211 could run with? Because I remember we did a storyline early last year where we weren't actually a team, but we were enemies. And because he's got I don't know if there's not spoilers, but the story, if you pay attention to 211 stories, he's got split personality. But the way he paints his face and everything else like that, it tells the story of 211's character. So we told the story of how I thought we were friends and he hated me, because back in the day, Inmate 211 hated me, but 211 loves me. So we've got that bit of a, he used to wear red's Inmate 211, green's 211. And we feuded for a little bit there. And then eventually, he came to the good side, and we're friends now. We're besties. But we're like, we need to, obviously now we're teaming. We need a name. We can't just be Standardized Paradox or Redfield and 211. So we're like, what really fits the vibe of the two of us? Because we are polar opposites in a way. We're very similar, but polar opposites. I remember on the phone, I was stuck in traffic. And we're on the phone. We're trying to think of it. I can't remember the name. There was a name that we came up with that we thought, yeah. But I think it was 211 dropped the line of like, oh, we could do like, something that's kind of suits us because we're not quite right. And I just kind of sat there and went, that's it. And he goes, what? Not quite right. I'm like, literally. And like the whole thing was based off the NQR, not quite right stores. Yeah. So we kind of based it off that, because like
that's why I laughed at Pat. I laughed at Pat because that was after we've been having arguments. Are you going to tell him that a tables match is not one fall?
Oh.
We've been having a running argument for weeks.
It's not for one fall, because there's no fall in it besides falling through the table. Well, of a technicality maybe, but like.
But see, the first feud we had on that is when there was a ladders match at Alpha a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
And they had to grab the tag belts off the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, one fall. I said, it's not one fall. It's 2 grabs.
Oh,
We had a jolly old argument about that.
I love Pat. Pat's great.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And now on Saturday, after your performance, after winning the titles, and you and I were like in the breezeway,
Yeah, having a chat.
Chat, and Mike came up with you with a pat on the back, and Mike Manson, the owner of Alpha Pro Wrestling,
Yeah.
for those that don't know, and and you showed a lot of gratitude on that. It meant a lot to you, I could see.
Manson was my original trainer. So Manson was the guy who trained me when I first started. Manson was the first guy to turn around to me and go, "Oh, we're gonna put you in a match." So my first match wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Manson. Mike gave me a couple of opportunities when I first started. Opportunities that I don't agree with because I was way too green. But opportunities that it helped shape who I am now. So it's not something that I regret. Because when I first started, I was in they went to my hometown for the first time and they put me in the main event, and that was May of 2013. So I was only 7 months into my career, which back then doesn't happen. These days it can, because the amount of talent that is coming out of all the rookies the last couple of years have been fucking phenomenal. Sorry, pardon my French, but like amazing. But back then I had only wrestled 2 matches, and one of those matches, 2 of those matches were I'd wrestled 3, one singles match and the other 2 were battle royals, and I won a battle royal to then take on the heavyweight champion at the time, who was Steve Vallick. And it was a really cool moment. It was like, it's my first main event. I wrestled in front of friends and family. The crowd was like loud for being like a crowd of like 50 people. It was great. But I don't think I was ready for it. But yeah, Manson gave me these opportunities. And he also taught me a new one a lot, because there were times where I just didn't care and I didn't train, or I was like, I can get what I want, like whatever. I was like, because I was 17, 18 years old, like and Mike had pulled me aside on numerous amount of occasions and had arguments with me and put me in my place. And God, we had some screaming matches, but like Manson was my wrestling dad, pretty much. Manson was the guy who, even though there were times where I didn't like him, he would sit me down and he'd be like, "You did this wrong, but you did this right." And we didn't talk for obviously Manson left the wrestling business for quite a while. And then Manson came back with, obviously, they did an Alpha reunion show that I was a part of. And then obviously they fully rebooted Alpha, and I was the first one to go. I don't usually put my hand up for things, but I was like, I want to be part of Alpha, because like Alpha's closed down just before I started my wrestling journey. But through Alpha, me and Manson have gotten, I would say gotten close again. I love seeing Manson at shows. Manson's been like my biggest supporter. He'll tell me if there was something that I remember, I got Manson really angry. One of the first Pipework shows that we did was Energy 3. We were building up for the Energy Cup, because we do obviously the day shows as well.
Yeah.
So I started on Energy, which a lot of people are like, wait, Josh Redfield started on Energy with all like the up and comers, and I'm like, yeah, because you have to earn your stripes no matter how long you've been in the business for. I like doing that. I like starting on the shows that are considered for the rookies. I love working those shows. They're really fun shows, so I didn't mind. But we did this spot, Matty Wild, who you've spoken to before. We were like, oh, we're just do in the match, and we decided to go into the crowd. We didn't get it cleared, and so we've gone into the crowd.
Touchy on that.
So we've gone into the crowd. Bush. Oh, did I not hear? I heard about it for weeks.
Yeah,
and like he's pretty like, he was strict on it. Like I went up and apologized, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
It's because of the insurance, isn't it? Because he told me about it with when there was a false count anywhere, and he was worried that they were going to go, way out to almost where the Alpha Pro office was.
Yeah.
They look like they're going to go there because they're still, even though it's falls count anywhere, it's not quite. Well, they can go out to the toilets or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we've had our moments, but yeah, I think in especially the last 2 years, I think I've made Manson proud as one of his trainees with how far I've come the last 2 years, and how far I can still possibly go. It's just nice to be able to see the fact that, like, especially when we won the alpha tag titles, Manson was very much like, you could see that he was. To me, it felt like he was proud. And it was just like,
Oh yeah,
absolutely. It was just this nice, wholesome. It's nice hearing it from your trainer that he's like you deserve this.
Yeah.
And you hear it from people all the time, but like from someone who like was there when you took your first bump, and that was 13 years ago. So he's seen me go from a 16-year-old kid to I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
I'm 30 now, you know, like it's weirdly gratifying to have. So yeah, it's nice to have those moments, and I hope I get to have many more of those moments with Manson through the years of Alpha going forward.
Yeah, because I'd say, just from what I can see, it's from someone who knows rather than just a fawning fan. Like, it's nice to have the fans on board and say, "Oh, you're the greatest, you're this and that," but when it comes from someone like Mike or something like that, you know it's the real deal.
Yeah, very, very much so.
And that's what I saw on your face. I saw that on your face after he said it to you on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a nice feeling. And a lot of people would sit there and be like, "Oh, you know, but you've held, like, obviously I lost the APW world title, which is like their main title. So I was the face of the company for a year. Like, oh, you know, but you've just won a tag title, but like, it still has meaning, you know." So to be able to win the tag team titles, I think it's the fact that Manson has faith that I can be a face of one of his divisions, which is it's really nice to know. Like, whether it is your mid card, your tag, your lower card, or your main event division.
But then does that make you, a thought came to me now, does that make you maybe see that this is why he saw something in you all those years ago, even when you thought you weren't ready?
Maybe it's hard because, like, I suck at predicting the future. Like, if you asked me, like, when I first started what my goals were, I'd be like, I'm gonna go to WWE, I'm gonna main event WrestleMania, I'm gonna win the Intercontinental title, because that was the one belt I always wanted to win when I first started watching wrestling. I was like, Intercontinental champion.
The workers belt. Oh,
yeah,
sugar. Oh, unlock my phone. Hang on. You can still hear me.
I can, yeah, very much so.
This stupid thing. Where are we?
But yeah, no, it's you could definitely, I think Manson knows when there's where there's talent, and I think that's you're back.
There he is.
I think Manson saw something in me because you know, I remember the first conversations him and George had when it came to me, and they were like, "Oh, Shawn Michaels." They compared me to Shawn Michaels, which shouldn't have done to begin with, because Shawn Michaels is amazing. But it's nice to be able to sit here and go, okay, well, they compare me to this person, so they must see something in me. And to be able to live up to that something now is, yeah, cool. It's taken me 13 years or so. Well, I wouldn't even say 13, but 10 to 11 years to do. But we got there, you know, and we've got the canvas to keep going.
But also, too, do you now so you still train as a wrestler?
Yeah.
Are you a trainer as well now?
Yes, I suck at it. I that's my confidence as a trainer. So me and 211 run classes on a Sunday. I haven't been recently because I've had a baby recently, change of jobs, and I like Christmas. Yeah, thank you. So I haven't recently been there as much as I would like to. But me and 211, we run classes on a Sunday down at the Adrenaline Zone. That's pretty sure that's what they call it. At the APW training facility. And like, that's pretty much open to everyone. We've got a little group chat that happens, and we go down there. We have a roll around. We help people, whether it's character work, just ring positioning, stuff like that. Yeah. So I I don't like to consider myself a trainer because I don't run a proper class, but I'm always open to like watching matches back and giving feedback and you know I'm usually one of the I'll sit there and watch people plan their matches and like be like and I'll be like the first one to be like, hey, if you want an opinion, like maybe switch this up because you've got to think about the audience as well and how the crowd's going to receive this and like, does this really work for your character or why is your character doing this and um just those little tidbits. I'd say more of a, if anything, I'd be more agent than trainer. But
Okay.
we do run classes and we do train on a
You
regular.
got a bit of booker in you too, haven't you?
I maybe I've booked some shows. I know I've helped out with 2 alpha shows.
Mm-hmm.
When the main booker, when Crow was away, I helped out with the cards there. I say helped out with the cards. I knew what the card was. It was my job to make sure it stayed that way, or if there was any pullouts, I had to change it around and do all that stuff.
All right.
Yeah, I've been asked to book shows before, or become booker on like promotions. I've turned them down. Because
Why's that?
my main reason is because I'm a wrestler. And I've been in this business for quite a while to the point where I don't want to put myself in a situation. I've got goals and aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, win titles at promotions. I want to have these really cool matches at promotions. I want to tell these really cool stories. I want to watch my friends succeed in promotions and all that type of stuff. If I put myself in a position of power in the sense of like booking and I go, I'm going to put myself in this position or I'm going to put my friend in this position, whether they've earned it or not, you cast this already illusion of you're booking your friends or you're booking yourself to go
Mm-hmm.
do this. I don't want that. I want
Yeah.
to feel like I've earned the title reigns that I have or this or like stories that I'm telling. I will, if someone turns around and goes, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I'll be like, "Hey, this is a story I've got in mind. This is how I would do it," and I'd give that to the booker. Um, but I'd never book a show
Mm-hmm.
just because of, especially as an active wrestler. If I was to retire tomorrow, I'd take booking in a heartbeat
Yeah.
because
Well, is that something you look at later on when the in-ring career is no longer there?
absolutely, I don't. Yeah, absolutely, because I don't plan on leaving wrestling once my in-ring career is over. Like, God forbid that's anytime soon, which I don't think it. I
No,
don't
no.
think it is. Um, years later, I've always like I would book a show, I'd manage, I'd commentate. Like I'd love to do all those the extra things that I don't think people appreciate as much.
You
Um,
got aspirations of overseas?
yeah, yeah. Oh, I never used to. I never used to. I was very content. Even like when I first came back to wrestling, I was very content. Like when I was doing like the Daddy Uwu gimmick and I won the breakout title at Adrenaline and even the tag titles at Adrenaline. I was very content with what I was doing. I was like, I'm cool. I'm happy doing this. I have a family here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got kids. I'm content. Like I'm happy just wrestling the indie scene and making like just having so much fun on the indie scene. Uh but the last year and a half to 2 years, I feel like I've tapped into a new element of myself where I'm like, I think I've gone from like here to I've bumped up quite a bit in like what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot more confidence in myself. And I kind of sit there and I'm like, I reckon I can do it. So I do have aspirations. I've like in the last year I have like really sat there and gone, I could go overseas. I want to go to Japan. I'd
Mm-hmm.
love to go over and do something over in Japan, whether it's like a full-time thing over in Japan or if it's just like a little tour or whatnot. I'd love to do it. I do want to hit the States as well. Um, I had a conversation with Jackson Wild, who is he's been in the business for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. He's coming through the ranks. He wrestles Adrenaline, does he's a Mad Earth Society champion, and he does DMDU and stuff like that. And a lot of that. There's a couple other shows, but he's coming through. Like I reckon in the next 2 years, he's going to be like a really big name. But he had a conversation with me at the Adrenaline Pro Wrestling Awards night. And, he basically asked what I would like, what's something that I've always wanted to do. And I was like, I've always wanted to go wrestle for TNA over in the States. It's a promotion that I really enjoyed watching when I was growing up. So if I was to set a goal, like a big goal, it'd be to go wrestle TNA over in the States and like win the X Division title, if anything. I think that'd be pretty cool.
You'd fit the X Division sort of stuff.
I'm fast. I want to say I'm like high flying, but I'm fast. I can move around pretty quickly these days, which is cool. But I wouldn't say I'm trying to do a bit more like flashy stuff, but it's just getting out of my comfort zone. I used to do it all the time, but not anymore. I got older and went, I kind of want to wrestle forever. So,
got a hypothetical for you.
Yeah, shoot.
So let's say AEW or TNA offer you a really good contract for, say, 6 figures or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're Josh Redfield. But WWE offer 2 or 3 times that money, but you have to take whatever name they give you, like Grayson Waller or some sort of name like that. Which way do you go?
I'd go TNA or AEW. I think WWE's been like a really strong promotion for ages, and I love watching WWE. I think one day, if I was to get an offer from WWE, like there would be the temptation to take it. But I'm also, I think the one thing, I'm myself. I like to be myself. I like to go out there and be myself when I wrestle. You know, people will sit there and be like, why do you come out eating a chocolate bar when you wrestle? Or why do you come out with like a horror plushy teddy? And it's because it's all things that I like to do. I like my chocolate. I love my horror games. I like to represent that when on shows. So it's stuff I like to do. I don't want that taken away from me. I don't want that part of me taken away to where I sit there and I'm under a different name of like Jackhammer Joe or, you know, like something, you know, like I love how you use Jackhammer Joe and it's like you're Southern Joe, but like,
well, you can't use Southern Joe.
No, yeah, this is true. So like, it's like one of those things of like, I'd probably take TNA and AEW because I can make a name for myself there as Josh Redfield. And then from there, realistically, I've got enough of a brand behind me as Josh Redfield that WWE will go, we'll take you as Josh Redfield. Of course, there'll be some.
Doesn't always help. Because like someone like CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, they go over as themselves, but someone like Ricky Starks went over as Ricky Saints.
Yeah. And I think that there's always going to be slight modifications when you go to WWE because they've got they've got their set way of WWE. So you've always got to be prepared for that.
They want to own the brand.
Yeah, and that's fine. But like again, it's one of those things of like WWE isn't the end goal for me anymore. TNA would be, and I would never be opposed to working AEW. I haven't watched as much AEW as I've watched WWE, but it's not something that I say no to because it's a global platform. You're on television every single week. Like it's the competitor, but it's not at the same time to WWE. So yeah, I'd definitely go AEW or TNA with a triple digit figure, but I can still go out there and be myself and I can have fun and I can do this and I do that. And like, yeah, of course I've got the TV limitations, but I don't have the limitations of my character, how I wrestle and all that. I don't have that limitation compared to WWE because I think the biggest thing that, especially when it comes to me, is how I interact and how I do things in the ring and in the moment when I'm out there. And I feel like if you take that away, you take away a big sense of who Josh Redfield is in general and who I am as a person outside of wrestling. And I personally don't want to lose that. So yeah, no, TNA, AEW all the way.
Yeah. Have you wrestled any big names? Who'd be the biggest names you've wrestled or tagged with?
Adam Brooks would probably be like, if we're to like Australian scene, Adam Brooks. I wrestled Adam Brooks in a triple threat match. With myself, Adam Brooks and Kobe Reed for the Adrenaline Pro Wrestling World Title, and
Okay.
that's the match I
Okay.
won the belt. That was a pretty big thing. I've wrestled.
Yeah.
So that was pretty big. I've been requesting a one-on-one match with Brooksy ever since because I reckon I was very nervous going into that match, but I've got the confidence to. I'm like I reckon me and Brooksy could pull off a really good match. I've done some training sessions with Brooksy as well, which has helped me immensely as well. Other than that, I wrestled Muhammad Ali Baez in Queensland. He was part of like OVW when WWE and OVW had their agreement years ago. He was part of when Jeff Jarrett launched Global Force.
Okay.
So it was right in that moment because I remember doing a training seminar with Muhammad Ali Baez, and a part of that was your top three people would get their tape sent in to Global Force. Nothing came of it.
No.
Other than that, no, I think I came close to wrestling Brian Kendrick, if anything, but I haven't
Ooh,
wrestled. But I haven't wrestled Brian Kendrick. I know there was like because I heard about it. Everyone's been. I've seen it on socials that poor MXW. Whoever runs the social media team for MXW, like there was like a solid like 3 to 4 posts like over a space of a month and a half where a group of people and like were asking to watch me wrestle Brian Kendrick. So I'm hopefully one day that happens since there are people who want to see it. So I think there is like potential there. But other than that, I haven't really had the opportunity, which is something that I yearn for, is having the opportunity to wrestle some of the international talent that come down or bigger names or on bigger platforms and stuff like that.
Have you tried going after World Series Wrestling or the OPW stuff?
No, see, people might think this is silly, but I don't usually reach out to promotions. I wait for promotions to reach out to me, and it sounds really silly. And like, even I sit there and I'm like, I'm an idiot. I reckon if I reached out, I'd probably be skyrocketing into other places very quickly.
Yeah.
But I've got this thing of like, and it might be because of previous times in like years ago in wrestling promotions, is more the fact of like when a promotion asks me to wrestle their promotion, I know full well that they actually want to use me. They actually want me
Yeah.
there on their promotion. When
Yeah.
I have to ask for it, I feel like it's more of a, yeah, okay, we've got a spot for you kind of deal. And it's like if there's multiple promotions that have asked for me that I've had to like knock back because of commitments to other promotions like Adrenaline and Alpha and MXW, Malice now I wrestle for, Nightfall up in Queensland. There's a whole bunch of promotions that like, and you're only a certain amount of weekends in a month.
Hmm.
So
Do you do Relentless in Bacchus Marsh?
no, I don't. It's funny because Jake Navarro and JXT also helped train me when I first started.
Yeah.
But no, I don't wrestle. I don't wrestle for Mayhem. I'd love to. I'd love to work a show because those shows look like a lot of fun. There's a couple of places that I'd like to work in Melbourne. But whether I ever get the opportunity or not is up for debate.
It is a thriving scene here in Melbourne.
100%.
There's a lot happening. Yeah, a lot happening with that. How many matches would you do in a normal week?
A normal week. Okay, so the most in general, probably 2, depending. Like if I've got a Friday night, I usually have a Friday, Saturday show. So I'll do like a Friday show, Saturday show. Alpha, I used to do 2 shows in one day when it came to like energy and the main show. So on average, I'd say 2, but like I've wrestled more than 2 in a weekend.
Did you do the Saturday afternoon show this past? Because I didn't get to, because of being in Sunbury, it's too far away for me to get to the afternoon show.
No, I was there. I was there to watch the talent. But I was no, I didn't wrestle. I haven't wrestled. I don't think I've wrestled an energy show for 2 shows now because I know they've been wanting me to be more main show than both shows. But I've also said to them, I'm happy to work either. Like I'm just keen to wrestle and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I say roughly 2. two in a weekend, on average.
Have you ever sort of had a stint where you got midweek shows as well?
I think I've done Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. But I've never done one. I've got a show coming up that's a Monday. So I'm working for a new promotion that's coming up in I think it's Mornington is the first show. Called Dominion Wrestling. And we're doing a show on a Monday night, which is different. But really keen for that one because I've never wrestled on a Monday night. So I've wrestled Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. So I've got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to cross off my list of days that I've wrestled on. So I'm going to cross off Monday, and then I only have Tuesday, Wednesdays left to kick off. And I haven't seen many promotions run on a Tuesday, Wednesday. I guess it's just not viable sometimes because it's in the middle of a work week. So
It's sort of funny because if I'm listening to old school wrestling of, say, Jim Cornette podcast or something like that, and they talk about guys working 7 days a week and getting from one town to another.
Oh, yeah, I've heard George used to tell stories about how he'd work 7 days a week back in the days, and I'd be like, 7 days a week? Oh,
Yeah.
hey, if you're getting paid the big bucks to do it, go. Like I would. I would
Yeah.
absolutely. I'll stop doing my 9 to 5 to wrestle every single night. Like, you just have to work a lot smarter. You just have to take care of your body so you can maintain that over 30 years. So
So what's your goal going forward?
Wrestling wise, I've got mini goals and I've got big goals. So my big goals obviously is by hopefully 2027 I've done a tour of Japan, I've done a tour of the States, maybe the UK. I would like to go wrestle.
Have you got feelers out for those things?
There has been some feelers that have been put out from either my side or sides from other countries. So they're feelers that we will probably extend more to throughout next year. Depending, obviously, money's a big factor in a lot of it. So I start a new job, so hopefully that's going to be able to finance a lot of the stuff going forward. I took it because of the money and how much it can actually finance going overseas and traveling for wrestling. So I think that's the big thing. I think my goal is I've gone from being very content with being in Australia and wrestling in Australia and having fun and just doing the thing to, hey, don't sit on what ifs. Don't sit in the what if I actually did what I wanted to do and go overseas. I think it's now is the time. I think I'm at that point where people look at me and go, that's Josh Redfield. Like, he can go do it, and like, it's like, oh, maybe I can go do it. Maybe that's what I should do. So yeah, my goal is by 2027 or at least in 2027 to be being able to go over international waters on a semi-regular basis, whether it's tours or whether it's like something I can lock in over there. That is long term in the sense of like that is what we're going to try and achieve. Like, we want to get better. We want to wrestle some bigger names. That's the other thing, is wrestle bigger names. I want to get opportunities around wrestling bigger names, wrestling some international talent that come over, pushing myself a bit more. And I think pushing myself is like wrestling, these really high to like Brooksies and Robbie Eagles and, like your Chris Basso and Matt Basso over in Adelaide. Matt Hayter is another one. You've got people like, you've got all these people you can work with, and like a lot of these big names, there's smaller names in the industry that like Orion Menson is another one that I would love to work, because I think Orion would probably push me to my absolute limit. There's a whole bunch of like names that people still don't have like full broad, I wouldn't say broad's the word, but like aren't in like the front page, so to speak, of Australian wrestling that I reckon could push me. And that's what I want. I want to be pushed, because the more I'm pushed, the more I'm going to get better. So yeah, that's long-term goals, or like the bigger goals. Smaller goals, just tell some memorable stories. I said to Manson when I first came to Alpha that my goal was to be Alpha heavyweight champion. So I've still got that pretty much there. adrenaline. I've done a lot, so I just want to continue telling stories and cementing my legacy there. Because I'm in the mindset, it's really weird because I never thought I'd be in the mindset. I'm in my mindset where I feel like maybe my run in Australia is very limited now because of how much I do want to go international. So I want to try and make the most of it just in case I do go international and I do decide to test it out and stay and do longer, you know, stints, whether it is in the not WWE, but in the United States and doing like TNA one day, or like just doing the indie scene, or like NW, like even NWA is like is a big promotion, or going to Japan and living in Japan and wrestling over there, or even like the UK scene. Like there's so much, there's such a there's so much wrestling in the world. I could go to Mexico. Like I want to have as much fun and do as much as I can in Australian wrestling right now, just in case I hit that 1% and I'm able to do something really cool over in another country, and I decide to stay there and do that more than wrestling in Australia, because, obviously up the ladder.
You know what they say in lucha strip clubs?
I don't know. I've never been to a lucha strip club, or I've never been to a strip club in general.
They say, show us your face.
I get it, because of
yeah. I got one more.
Okay.
Okay, you got 5 people in the line in this exact order: Vince McMahon.
Yep.
Shane McMahon.
Uh-huh.
Ole Anderson.
Yep.
Don Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
In this lineup, would Dwayne be the third rock from the sun?
I get it. Yep. I was like, "What you?" And then I went,
"That's cerebral."
That's That was
because Ole Anderson was called the Rock.
Yeah.
Don Morocco at one stage was called the Rock.
Yeah, and I get that. That was good.
Yeah, it's cerebral.
That is good. I like that.
All right, that's really good chat with you.
Thank you.
Probably best to let you get some sleep and look after Bubs and get ready for work tomorrow with your shoot job.
Yep. Got all the got to get all the Christmas stuff sorted, because it's Christmas in a couple of days, and then I've got my I would say it's my last day, but I've got so I'm currently working a 9 to 5 at the moment. Well, I say 9 to 5, but I got to get up at early in the morning because I start at 7, and then I'm there for 2 more weeks. And then I resign from that job, and then I start my new job next year, which I'm really excited for, really keen for.
Cool.
So, yeah, but got to get all the Christmas stuff sorted and make sure it's busy time of year. But no, thank you for the opportunity. I'd love to do this again sometime, and we can cover some more stuff. But we've only hit the tip of the iceberg with a lot of the stuff.
So that was Josh Redfield. He calls himself the disappointing Deviant, but he's a good bloke. And if you get the chance, Alpha Pro Wrestling. As far as I know, the next show is February 21st next year, being 2026, at Sunbury Memorial Hall. Bit of a drive for me, but a short walk for our friend Josh here. So until next time, this is Huru.